We've got Jörg Eigendorf, who is the Chief Sustainability Officer from Deutsche Bank, and we have Kevin Conrad, who is Executive Director of the Coalition of the Rainforest Nations. So they're going to come up and tell you a bit about this agreement. Jörg, stand in the middle, or sit on the chairs, because then you'll be on TV.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Now I even have to share my microphone with you. Okay.
No, that's yours.
We share.
Perfect. You have your own. Please.
So why don't
tell us?
I can happy to start. So eventually we ask ourselves how. I mean, if you really look at it, we are in the year 2025, and we have no solutions to integrate the protection of the rainforest into the market economy. And we all know that we don't integrate the externalities of doing business accurately, and we will need to find mechanisms that the economies, the businesses pay for the pollution on the one side. On the other side, we have this treasure of rainforest all over the world, which we need to protect. And if you look today, and this was when we started this journey 1 year ago, when we look at it today, you can really say that we have all ingredients at place. We have nations like Honduras and Suriname, and I welcome here Lucky Medina, the environmental minister of Honduras, Honduras. And we have the market, we have the process, Paris Agreement, and we have companies willing to invest into carbon credits. And this is why we started. And so we are now there, that we are ready in the sense that we negotiate and develop with Suriname and Honduras together, and with the partner Coalition for Rainforest Nations. We want to make use of the Paris Agreement under Article 5.2 and 6.2 to channel private investments into the protection of rainforests. We are not there yet. We have started a year ago. There's a lot of work to do. We need to look very closely at the safeguards. 5.2, which sets the framework, and 6.2, which is effectively a accounting mechanism. They leave a lot of room, and we need to fill this room in a way. And there are a lot of standards which we can make use of, and we need to do it in a best practice way, but eventually to come up with a rainforest carbon credit that can become an asset class. This is our ultimate goal. And we started this journey. We have now the 2 countries we are working with in a very focused manner. We have an incredible capacity on the ground, and we think we have the network to create. And we have the buyers that, like Bayer AG, like Siemens, Symrise, and others who are very interested, who are willing to invest in this and give the credibility into this effort. And that's where we are.
Very, very good. Very good. Would you like to talk a little bit about it, how it came about, and what it means?
About 20 years ago, it was obvious to us at that point that reversing global deforestation had to be a priority if we're going to meet our goals. The trouble with the Paris Agreement in 192 countries, well, one of them, there are some others, but is that 192 countries have to agree to something. So when you set up rule sets, it takes time, and they're not always perfect because they're negotiated, and there are different groups, the Arab group and the major emitters, and everyone is in there trying to make sure that they see in this agreement something that they need to see. While all that's been going on, there's a large group of developing countries that have actually reduced emissions with the speed and scale that the Paris Agreement dreams about. And largely those are the countries that have rainforests. They've reduced over 12 billion tons of emission reductions that have been verified under the Paris Agreement, while everybody else keeps talking about renewable energy and transitioning. They've done it. But they've done it without any financial support. These countries have done, these are some of the poorest countries in the world. want to make the Paris Agreement achieve its goals. We want to agreement, and we want to deliver finance to those governments and communities that are stewards of these forest assets. And this is a transition, and I have to commend Jorg and Deutsche Bank for understanding that we're overdue for a step change. And this step change has to take shape in the way we distribute finance, in the way we work with developing countries, and the way we leverage carbon markets. And all of those things we're working on together. And I want to introduce Minister Luki. Luki has been doing all of the work, and he's going to replace me now on the chair.
So Lucky Medina is the Minister of Environment for Honduras. Please.
Thank you, and I appreciate. So we are so happy right now because we check the newspaper and all the media channels and radio stations, and all Honduras is talking about this great news for the signing tomorrow early, and how the President Xiomara Castro give the start of writing a new chapter of the history of the country, and a new chapter of the history and how to implementate the Paris Agreement and the Red Plus mechanism with the unconditional help of the Coalition for Rainforest Nations and the Trust, Dutch Bank, and the Trust too from Bayer and Siemens and CM Price. It's all a new team building the justice, the climate justice, and more equal conditions for people who defend their natural resources and the rainforest. So thanks for looking for our countries and to help to develop a new reality.
Yeah, and thank you, Minister. And if you may add to this, we've been on the ground in both countries, and it has been an incredible experience to see. These are both very different countries. Honduras has a budget of a little bit more than 10 billion US dollars in US dollars, if you calculate in US dollars, compared to 1.3 billion in Suriname. Honduras has 6 million hectares of rainforest with 2,000 soldiers protecting it. Suriname has 15 million hectares of rainforest with barely a little bit more than 100 armed forces protecting it. And the same, and you really see that a country which has to take care of education, has to take care of health, has to take care of debt service. We leave then these countries with these huge treasures more or less alone. And I have to say that I see there's room for always, like we have these national allowances systems, EU ETS, super helpful, very, very important that we keep those. Then you have the voluntary market. I also think, and Kevin and I argue about this a lot, I think there's room and there needs to be a lot of capital into these markets too. And then it's us, we are a little bit the hybrid in the middle then, with focusing on the Paris Agreement, UNFCCC, and on the governments, because we can now talk forever about, and I remember one sentence of when we had a lot of policymakers we were talking with, and one policymaker said, it's true that the rainforest is a problem when it comes to carbon markets. I mean, if you just think about that sentence, the rainforest, yeah, then cut it down and plant new trees and you don't have that problem anymore. I mean, this cannot be the answer. The answer must be, this is the most effective way on earth. There's hardly anything more effective than rainforest. And if you fly across Honduras, and I'm really grateful to the minister that he has taken us on the flight and showed us the northeast of Honduras. Of a 3-hour flight, you see maybe 20 to 30 minutes real rainforest, primary rainforest without human traces. And you see where mankind comes, where little streets, and so that's the end of the primary rainforest. And you understand how difficult it will be to protect it. And by the way, I don't think it's a question of poverty. The richer economies get, usually the less they have to do with nature and the more greedy they get. So I don't think really it's as that question. I think it's more or less the question is, do we empower the governments to protect it, and do we allow them to monetize the protection of the rainforest? And that would make it so much easier to protect it. And I can't understand all these debates, and we had just Rachel Kite here. We are talking and talking and talking, and I learned one thing in 10 years in Deutsche Bank. And I was the one responsible for introducing CO2 as a steering mechanism. You need to start walking if you want to come across the finish line. In theory, you will never make it to the finish line. And effectively, I have sometimes the feeling the world is just in theory thinking this is removal avoidance, and we need to think about this and that, and is this really additional, and is this not additional, and we are theoretizing permanently and losing precious time. And when I was on the ground, when we were on the ground, I can only say, seeing the investment this government has done into rainforest protection, because they expect also that they get the fruits back. And I think this needs to be made possible, and we need to support them in this. If we don't do it, it would mean that we leave these countries with a treasure to humanity alone, and we just leave, okay, you take care of it, and that would mean the death verdict for the rainforest. And we have not much more time to go.
Well, thank you. Thank you both so much. Thank you, Minister. Thank you for coming, and thank you, Jorg. Great to see you.